back, everyone, to another episode of 100 Yards here on the Region Sports Network. I'm Zach Miller, and joining me today is Indiana Christian head football coach Sam Kessler. Sam, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for being out here.
So, this is an awesome facility here at Indiana Christian. We have the pleasure here. This is now going to be your second season here of JV football, going to varsity football next year. What is it like to have football here at Indiana Christian?
It's a blessing. I think Indiana has been wanting a program for a long time, and I'm just blessed to be a part of it to help kind of build it up the way that I feel that Indiana deserves at this point.
Before we go a little more into Indiana Christian, I want to talk a little bit about your background. You were from Lansing, Illinois, right on the border. You went to TF South, or Lansing. That's where Indiana Christian used to be before moving here. So, can you talk a little bit about your time there at TF South and your relationship, if at all, to Indiana Christian?
Well, I mean, I grew up with guys that played played baseball in Indiana, played various sports there. So obviously, I had that connection, and I've stayed in contact with those guys as I've gotten older. But I didn't really, in terms of competing against them, we did baseball, wrestling, things like that. But I never really had much of a connection. Like, they were the private school in Lansing, and so private versus public in Lansing, it was always a good game when it comes to baseball or wrestling. But in terms of once they moved into Indiana, that was where I really started kind of perking up for football being here at this school.
You were an accomplished offensive lineman there at TF South under Coach Padgett, who was a long-time coach there. Can you talk a little bit about what you learned under him and some of the things that he taught you most valuable?
Well, I would say the most valuable thing I learned from him was that nothing that came out of his mouth was nonsense. Everything that he said had purpose. Everything that he said meant something, and he didn't waste his time yelling or any of that nonsense. Like, he was really devoted to making sure that the way he coached developed us as young athletes, and that's the biggest thing that I want to take into my coaching philosophy is making sure that when I open my mouth, that kids are listening, that I'm being heard, but also that I'm not wasting my time and just saying a bunch of nonsense just to get kids' attention.
Can you talk a little bit about your background as a football player and how it leads into your coaching?
Well, I mean, I played at the Division II level, Concordia St. Paul, Minnesota. I played quite a few years there. And just having various styles of coaching throughout my career, with playing at a high school level down here, and then obviously going to a higher level and starting for a few years there. Watching my coaches and how they interacted with players, everybody's got a different style. And so my biggest goal was to make sure that I was taking the best things that I learned from my coaches and applying it to myself. And realistically, the biggest thing is communication. If you can effectively communicate with your kids and understand the kids that you have on the field, they'll do whatever you want. And so, I wanted to make sure that the way that I communicate with these kids and the way that I get my point across was easily understandable. But at the same point, practicing what I preach. If I expect these kids to act a certain way in school or act a certain way on the field, I got to continue to be that way in my own life. And so that's something that I want to continue to kind of build on as this program continues to develop.
Now, going into your second season here at Indiana Christian, what is it like, that communication going between kids who were on the team last year, but also recruiting kids who are going to be maybe new to football?
Yeah, and so I've been actively involved in the school. I have a job here on campus here, and so getting kids involved, getting kids aware, and the biggest thing is not so much winning over the kids, but it's winning over their parents. Obviously, having 80 years of football here, 80 years of no football, obviously there's some hurdles you have to kind of jump over to get to that point. And so, getting the point across to understand that we're going to teach it the right way, that we're going to teach it in a way that they understand, but to also understand that football doesn't have to be vulgar. That was the one big concern I know what the parents had is they were worried about like the violence of football, obviously, and then obviously some things that carry over with some coaches. But I'd stress to them that you don't have to be vulgar to be an excellent coach. You can get your point across without having to act like that. And obviously, with, like we said before, with my head coach Tom Padgett, it's how you carry yourself on the sidelines and how you carry yourself outside of the football field as well. And so, getting kids, communicating with them, being able to make connections between the sports that they already play here, that's been my key to getting so much success in getting kids part of our program.
Can you expand on the support you get from the community here for Indiana Christian?
Well, the community of Indiana Christian is phenomenal. I mean, I'll tell you, from the administration, I believe we have the best athletic department in the region. On top of that, too, with our administration here, with the understanding of the importance of athletics here and importance of everything in Indiana, it makes it really easy to do my job. On top of that, too, with parents understanding that This is a brand new thing for them. There's an adjustment period for them. It's been nothing but supportive, and I think as we continue to amp it up with the intensity, obviously going from JV to varsity, that's going to be a really big piece in their part by making sure that they're staying on top of making sure that they understand where the intensity needs to be at.
Talk a little bit more about that ramp up period going from JV to varsity.
Well, we can't wait until next year to start playing varsity level football. I mean, we have to start doing that now. And so, with that, obviously there are some responsibilities that I have as a coach. I have to make sure that I have the coaching personnel to do that, to help me with that. So I've hired 2 more coaches on top of that this year. So we have 5 assistant coaches on my staff this year. But also, obviously, things like in the weight room and things with the expectations in the classroom. I mean, just amping it up. That's varsity football is not just on the field, but it's everything you do. It carries throughout your career. And so making sure that they understand that the intensity, especially starting here in the summer, is going to amp up a bit. Contact. I mean, obviously our first year, last year, we're trying to build pieces and trying to figure out what kind of kids we have, the type of athletes we have, football knowledge, things like that. So 1 year under, I mean, all we're doing is just building on what we already know, continuing to get kids bigger and stronger in the weight room, and then obviously, like I said, getting Ileana Christian more excited for football.
How important is that work in the ring? I understand that you are an avid powerlifter and very successful in that field. How important is it to work in the ring?
It's probably more important than a lot of people think. I think the culture doesn't just start on the football field. It doesn't start. I believe it starts in the weight room, because you watch each other go through all that struggle and that strain and that sweat, blood, and tears that goes through all off-season training. And when you go take that training and you develop all these kids, everything you do in season is going to mean more to them because of all the work they're putting in the off season. And so, because of that, I strongly enforce a solid off season lifting program. And I've gotten great results out of my kids this year, especially with the weight room that we have. The kids that we have done an excellent job of buying into something that Ileana is continuing to develop, which not just football, but just a football off-season program. That's something new for these kids. And then obviously a spring season this past spring, where that was another learning period for them as well.
Get Pulse Technology on your team. Hit a home run with our managed print and copier services, IT and technology solutions, office furniture and design services, office supplies, scoreboards, and AV solutions.
Strack and Van Til for the win with 4 ways to save. Catch price drops on over 15,000 items and check the weekly ad for can't miss deals. Stack on the rewards program for digital coupons, points toward discounts and free products, and power up with our own brands. Keep your budget in the safety zone. Get the same great taste as national labels at lower prices. If you can't taste the difference, why pay the difference? Score big value with 4 ways to save at Strack and Van Til.
Hi, I'm Crowd Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowd Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowd Companies, insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
How important is faith in the building this program?
It's everything. It's the basis of our foundation. I mean, and our motto last year, our scripture was Matthew 7:24, building our program on a solid foundation. So it's everything. It's making sure that we're carrying ourselves pleasing to God outside of the field in the classroom, but obviously too developing not just athletes, not just young men, but Christians in today's world. I think that's the most important piece. As we continue to develop and continue to get more in the community, I think Northwest Indiana will get a real good taste of that.
I want to ask now, we're at the 50-yard line. We want to spend the next half talking about this upcoming season. I want to ask you about some players that are looking forward to break out this upcoming season.
Well, I think with Indiana Christian too, just being a new program, it's you're trying to get as much exposure to these kids for obviously opportunities post high school. And so there are some kids that we have in this high school that I think are going to be a really good athlete for, especially coming into the JV season and obviously varsity. KD Young, he's going to be a junior next year, big offensive tackle for me. Nick Carnes, my starting quarterback last year, he'll be back for me. We were really young last year, and so obviously with that going into this year, obviously it's just continuing to build off of what we're doing. But I can sit here and tell you every player I have on my roster. I think they're all great kids. I think they all put out the effort that I need. I think they're all going to contribute to the goal here for Indiana. But obviously too, there's just even with our freshmen coming into, I think we're going to have a really good squad next year. But no, we'll have a real good stacked team next year for this upcoming season.
Without giving too much, just touch on this. What is the offense?
Offense, I mean, I'm run heavy. I mean, I think a solid run game will set up your program significantly in terms of the offensive play calling. And so, especially with the offensive line and my background of having an offensive line in my back of my head, that's going to really develop these kids in terms of our play calling, in terms of our morale on the offense. Defensively, we're getting a lot more creative. Obviously, we're going to continue to develop our area. I hired our DB's coach is excellent. He does a great job for us. He's going to get those kids whipped into shape, and just everything is going to get amped up. Like I said, the intensity, all of the things we're going to do with our receivers and running backs. Obviously, we're going to continue to develop, and obviously with the speed too, and the strength we built in the off season, that's going to incorporate a lot of growth in our offense and defensive play calling as well.
What are some specific goals you're wishing to achieve by the end of this season?
Just to continue to have success. I mean, having a winning record in our first JV season was excellent, obviously, and continuing to build on that growth going into next season is obviously the goal. But my biggest goal is really just to continue to build the excitement for football here. Going into the off season, there was some excitement. Going into this upcoming season, we're continuing to build on that. We're hosting a football day. Basically, we're going to inter-team scrimmage with our guys, our middle school team, which is brand new this year. They're also going to do an inter-team scrimmage, and it's just going to be a good way to cap off the summer, but to also get people excited for the season that's coming. But that would be my biggest goal, is to continue to develop these kids, continue to build their understanding of the game, but to also, like I said, build up the excitement for Indiana Christian football.
We've heard there's going to be things we're going to expect to improve here. To the field, other technical things here at Christian.
Well, the first thing is we had over 3,000 people at our first game, and so we've had discussions about when we joined the NCC, obviously expanding our bleachers. I mean, we were surrounded by we were probably about 3 rows deep outside of the fence here. So obviously, expansion of the bleachers is something that we've had conversations about visiting at home side. And then on top of that, too, starting next month, we're going to be starting to build our weight room facility. That's going to be phenomenal. It's going to really help the kids here. Not just my football program; it'll be for everybody. Every single athlete here will develop in a way that Indiana hasn't seen before. And I think, especially with how our administration is with helping us develop athletics here, and having such an excitement for what we're doing here at Indiana, it really makes it fun to be here because of the plans that they have to really give these kids every resource possible to be successful.
IBEW Local 697 isn't just wiring buildings. We're woven into the very fabric of Northwest Indiana. We're your neighbors. Our kids go to school with yours. We stand in the same bleachers cheering for the same high school teams. When you hire a union electrician, you're not just getting the highest quality work, you're supporting our community. IBEW Local 697, proudly powering our own.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialist.
With 40 years of experience serving Indiana, Illinois, and Tennessee, Ennigenberg Exteriors has only had one goal in mind: to achieve excellent customer service. From commercial and residential roofing to siding, window, and door replacement, Ennigenberg Exteriors delivers 110% customer satisfaction from the first hello to the final walkthrough. Visit ennigenberg.com for more information or give them a call at 219-365-2837. Ennigenberg Exteriors. Restoring hope, one project at a time.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I've received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
As we get to the red zone here, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. I'll start. What is the best piece of advice you ever got?
Be all there. My dad said that. My dad told me that as a kid. And basically, what that means is wherever you're at, if you're in the classroom, if you're in church, if you're if you're on the field, make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing. Make sure you're focused and locked into what you're supposed to be doing, because you're going to get left behind. You're not going to be able to focus and have the success you have if you're not really focused on what you're supposed to be doing.
Best piece of sports media you've ever consumed?
Sports media? What do you mean by that?
So that could be a movie, a book,
Oh,
show.
My favorite movie is Rudy. I mean, that's ever since I was a kid, that was my favorite movie. And I've watched that numerous times. And so that one, Remember the Titans, was always a good one for me. But I would say Rudy's by far my best sports media.
If you weren't going to be a football coach, what would you be?
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I taught PE for 6 years. I just plan on doing that the rest of my life. And so, that was something, and I enjoy it. And again, I do enjoy that job. I mean, it was a fun job for me, but and they're going to incorporate me into that aspect here coming up next year as well. So that would be something that I would be doing for the rest of my life.
Go-to pregame meal?
I don't eat before games. I mean, it's just like, I'm always, if I started eating, I'd probably get nauseous. I mean, and not just because I'm nervous, just because I want all my energy to be focused on the kids, not on my food digestion.
Favorite Indiana Christian football tradition?
We're continuing to build those. We're still getting to that. Even with like this year, we're going to start devotions before our meetings every week. Something to get these kids in the right mindset, understanding that watching film is not always just going to be like a chew out session. I want the tension to be down before we go in, obviously, because we're developing football players, but at the same time, we're developing young Christian men. And so that's something that I want. That's a big part of what we're going to be doing here. That's going to be a staple to our program.
Favorite sport to play other than football?
I mean, I loved baseball as a kid. When I was a kid, I wasn't very good at it. I was a good pitcher, but I loved playing. I loved playing it in high school, and I love watching it as well. So, but football, obviously, once I was big enough to where you started seeing like, yeah, you're probably better built for football.
Finally, one thing you will say to the Indiana Christian community to get them hyped for this upcoming season.
I would say that a lot of time and a lot of effort is being put into making sure that this program is getting everything it needs to be successful. And the biggest goal for me is to make sure that this community, this school that's been around for 80 years, is going to get the best Indiana Christian football program that they can get.
You heard it here first from Coach Sam Kessler here at Indiana Christian. This is Zach Miller of 100 Yards on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
You ready? Let's go! Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name.
Your future starts
here.
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, hut.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.